Congratulations, Zinogre. Yes, we all know now the top 20 monsters, right? But there's another direction to go in. You see, the side effect of having the largest group of hunters ever vote on literally every single monster that has existed is we kind of find out who is the, not I guess most hated, at least hate is present in your mind, the most forgotten about monster. But before we get to that, hey look, okay, RageGamingVideos got 20 seconds, so that's basically almost the top 20, and I bet if you added his votes together with normal Bragadios, probably even the top 10. Okay, look, yes, we have the full list. It got officially released, and that is very, very cool. I fully plan on going through the entire ranking with Cotton, who is blind to all of it, and me, who is blind for everything kind of between rank 30 and rank 210, for you guys very soon in a very special pro and noob. But for now, I cannot resist, as I've been alluding to, talking about the bottom end of the spectrum, because it's both very funny and very sad for the monsters in question. So without further ado, here we go. So technically speaking, everything I just said that you just heard at the start of this is in my future, because what I'm about to do now is reveal both to myself and to you guys, unless you've already looked ahead, you admittedly, understandably curious soul, the bottom of the barrel, Monster Hunter's Forgotten Children. And I am very curious, excited, and a little bit apprehensive just on the off chance one of my favorite monsters is somehow down here. But let's do this thing. Initially, then, it would be remiss to not at least talk the Plum, Daimyo, Ash, Ketcher, and Copper Blangonga, and that kind of makes sense, right? The sort of offshoot subspecies of monsters that people like, but they're not exactly impression makers. They're just sort of there, they fill out the game, and that's all well and good. Though I do love the Diablos shell on the Plum, and yes, there is a Magma Almudron trail down here too, which is a little bit of a shame for a newer monster, but I do think that, yeah, fair enough, Magma Almudron was one of the more just sort of there additions in Sunbreak. So, is it gonna be Mosswine, or am I just, is this just decoration? Because that would be just randomly out of nowhere a small monster. Fuck you, Mosswine. Okay, let's do this thing then. Oh! Okay. Bob. Blood Orange Bishatin. No! His pine cones have saddened. I don't know what that means, but his pine cones have saddened now. I guess I kind of get it, right? He doesn't really have the staying power of the other pinecone boys, and again, he just sort of is a new fiery subspecies of a monster in Sunbreak that's kind of there, and that's a shame. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Sunbreak subspecies appear again, something like Aurora Somnigant, which I think was probably the weakest monster in the whole of Rise and Sunbreak. So let's continue. Oh! Okay. Gendrome? I mean, yeah, right? Like, fair enough. It's one of the original dromes. Not as iconic as Velocidrome, and not as threatening as IOD Drome. So he just kind of is here, and he's not really had a modern revival. Yeah, I can see that. It's just kind of a nothingness, right? I understand why, again, he's not, like, hated. This bottom is the forgotten. It's that I didn't think about it. I didn't even, realize to look for them on the list. They might as well not exist as monsters, which sounds overly harsh now that I say it that way, because all the monsters still are phenomenal. These just happen to be, well, the least present, shall we say. And it does look like Berserk Tetsukabra is poking in into the next spot, and he kind of falls in line with, yeah, everyone likes Tetsukabra, but his subspecies is just sort of there, following him. What? Okay, that surprises. You would think he'd be a little bit higher, if only because he got to be in the 5th gen. But no. I guess he is just like another version of IOD Drome, but in the modern, more chunky, evolved raptor form. But like, just his armor, the cowboy set is a classic, and you'd think that alone would give him a little bit of a boost. I mean, it's one of those where I would have guessed he'd be a little bit higher. Nothing crazy, of course, but a little bit higher. But at the same time, yeah, I guess you would kind of figure that this bottom area would be just full of your basic raptors. But I definitely think that Great Roggy is one of the more interesting basic raptors. I assume Velocidrome and like Great Jaggy are much higher as like more classical mainstays. Great Jaggy is just the Velocidrome of Tri and such. And then we have Gyps Ross poking in. Is that purple Gyps Ross? I feel like it's purple Gyps Ross. It is purple Gyps Ross. Ah, is regular Gyps Ross still on the right here? Is Cephadrome? Or did purple randomly? I feel like we're going to have a situation where Gyps Ross is higher because presumably he would get more votes for the meme of his just silly existence, which is fair enough, honestly. As much as I do dunk on him, it's because he is at least memorable. So he probably has more votes, whereas his subspecies, yeah, he is just kind of a, I guess there's a Gyps Ross subspecies. I could totally see someone going, oh, you know purple Gyps Ross? What Gyps Ross? He has a subspecies. Oh yeah, he does have a subspecies, which I feel like is iconic of the monsters that we would expect to find down here. And I've been trying not to react to it, but seeing the Rust Duramboros head poking, oh, I cannot wait to do this with Conan. You think I'm crushed by raging in 22nd and Bracky in 17th? Oh! No, I do feel bad for him preemptively. That's really sad. Hopefully regular Duramboros is higher up, as you would expect him to be, but I suppose Russ just kind of, again, is in this territory of subspecies that doesn't do anything crazy and isn't really better than the base monster, so why would it get more votes? That said, it is a subspecies of one of the more, like, fascinating, awesome brutes, but again, the only brute not in the 5th gen, so it's maybe not present in people's minds. That one is definitely the one so far that I think is the biggest shame out of the options. Beatotus at 223! Oh, has he lost out on all the Piscine Wyverns? Is Plesioth and Cephadrome and Gyarados going to be higher? Maybe at this point I would guess so. He is sort of the most forgettable monster in Iceborne. Bambaro at least got, you know, the Bambaro-ness. He has made his legend being everywhere inexplicitly an invader that just will not stop. Goddamn Bambaro. Whereas Beatotus, you fight him for that first initial mission and then you just can forget about him for the entire rest of the experience. There's sort of just nothing going on. It really should have been Zamtrios. Though I do think Beatotus is very cool, the kind of, you know, snow shark that he is. He just, well, evidently hasn't made his impression. Really great Bagy. Wow. The Raptors are not having a good showing. I mean, again, I expected this to be the kind of area for the Dromes and the Greats, but again, he was in the 5th gen, so he should be a little bit more present. But I guess, actually, who's over here like, yeah, Great Bagy, that's my favorite monster? Because you only got one vote, right? It wasn't like, you know, a scale. And I suppose with that context, probably no one is over here like, yeah, Great Bagy, whoa! It's just sort of not a thing, so he's probably here by virtue of just having essentially no votes. I mean, literally that's the case, but you know what I'm saying when I say that. He's just fine, right? And this is the territory for that. And it looks like I was right with my Aurora Somnigant prediction, which is a little bit of a shame, because I do like what they were trying to do with it, and at least it wasn't another fire subspecies, but it is, I said this at the time when we were, you know, mid-deep into Sunbreak, that Aurora definitely was the biggest letdown for me in terms of what they did to the base Rise monsters. So that one is certainly, yeah, okay, I get that. It would probably be around my bottom 32. In fact, everything we've seen so far, barring Duramboros, probably would be, so no major complaints. Then, oh, that's Apex Azeroth? Bloodlust Incarnate couldn't scrape past 226. Oh, that's a shame. This makes sense. The Apexes are probably the least good versions of monster category because they just kind of gave the deviants but worse, and I think people made it very clear that they were just kind of fine, right? They didn't have a huge impact. Obviously, story-wise, there was, you know, the push on them, but he didn't get an armor set, which was kind of a little bit anticlimactic, and even though Azeroth was the one to first introduce it as the one you first go up against, I can understand it. It's not like Azeroth is brimming with popularity, and then this is his least popular form on top of that, in a category of monster that is a least popular type of monster category. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense, even though he has a special place in my heart because of the pro and noob playthrough with, again, Mr. Bloodlust Incarnate. Alright. IOD Drome. No, he is here. Wow. I swear to God, if Velocidrome's still coming up, he deserves it, right? He's the first large monster in the first Monster Hunter game, okay? He has earned the respect on his name. Whereas IOD Drome, well, I mean, yeah, again, big drome, okay, it exists, cool. It's really hard to hold a candle to the more modern large monsters, and thus he finds himself here. So, is this it? Are we about to have the end? There's been a couple draws, so I assume there are some monsters that got equal votes. I would love to know the actual numbers. Desert Celtus! Oh no! I wonder where Celtus and Celtus Queen, and even Desert Celtus Queen actually is then. That's very curious, because it's quite a unique monster, right? The insects, the double horn, the little small monster flying bug. It's definitely a step above, like, your IOD Drome and your Gen Drome and your Great Bagy. This one I think is harsh. This one I don't think is deserved. This one I do think is a case of literally he got forgotten about, but I guess that's why he's here and that's the point, so he deserves to be in that case, but I disagree. I think Desert Celtus has been robbed here. I really, really do. Oh. So, are we about to find 229th? Is this it? Our worst, again, not worst, most forgotten, least impactful, nobody cares about monster in Monster Hunter is... Yeah, okay. Yeah, right, yeah, alright. I play Monster Hunter for a literal job. A very lucky one that I am honored to have, and have been doing that for, like, nearly 6 years. And then I've played the game in general for the full 20 years since the first. I am into Monster Hunter, more than your average bear. And I genuinely, when that came up, had a moment of, what? Oh, Steel Uragaan! Yeah, okay. This might actually be the most apt bottom position I think I've ever seen. Look, I am not I don't know. I mean, base Uragaan has his charm, right? The chin, the rolling, he's fun, and his world version was definitively great, but he certainly has a kind of love-hate to him. And then this, his definitely most forgettable version. I mean, Crystal Beard is bad, it's the worst deviant, but at least that gives him, you know, a position as worst deviant, so you remember that. Whereas Steel... I couldn't tell you a single thing he does in his fight. I genuinely couldn't. That's really bad. Alright, yeah. There you have it, everybody. Oh, look, it's 228, 228. They must have got the same little votes. Desert Celtus and Steel Uragaan. But, I mean, they still very much knew what they were doing when they put Steel Uragaan right of it. Oh, that is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Oh, sorry, Steel Uragaan. Clearly, Steel Uragaan needs to go in Wilds. He needs a redemption arc. We need to get behind him, and we need to fix this travesty. Oh, that is it, right? Yeah, okay. Aww. God, what a lovely celebration of Monster Hunter. Ah, there we have it then. Look forward to that lovely pro noob of us reacting and going through all of it and hearing Cotton's thoughts on the top 20, bottom 20 for the first time as well. And let me know what you think of that bottom list. Are you surprised by it? Is it catching you off guard? Are you like, oh yeah, how many of them, be honest, when they came up, did you have a, oh yeah, that's a thing reaction to? Okay, I want to know. And if any of you have a favorite monster in the bottom 20, let me know too, because that's very interesting to me. But yeah, I don't think any of them are going to upset people too much, but it is fun that we now definitively know, I guess, the bottom 2 least not liked, least remembered monsters in all of Monster Hunter. But I think it says a lot that even nearly every single one of them that came up, I could still make an argument for why it's a really great monster with a lovely design that has its place, and that's really special. I don't think perhaps there is something as forgettable in Monster Hunter, just the worst of the best, and that's what's happened. But now then, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Commiserations to Steel Uragaan, and consider supporting the future of this channel on Patreon down below. Until we meet again then, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.